I'm in the old copper mining town of Burra in South Australia, and I've got the keys to the town. The best way to see Burra and all its historical sites is to go to the information centre. For $25 if you're at concession, $30 if you're not, you get a key. And this key will let you in to all of the historical sites. They also give you basically a goodie bag with maps and history and everything you need to know about the town of Burra. So let's go explore. So this key gets you into 9 locked heritage sites as you do the Burra Heritage Trail. And you can spend all day exploring the history of Burra and mining in Burra. Behind me is the Burra mine complex where they extracted copper oil. This was built in 1867, and in the 1860s this solo mine produced something like 5% of the world's copper. So behind me here is the Engine House Museum, and that's the first site we're going to with that magic key. So this is a Morford engine house. Lots of information to explain what you're looking at and when it was made and how it works. I can hear pigeons in the roof somewhere. It's interesting. So this engine house housed a pumping station, and that was necessary because as the mines went deeper and deeper they encountered more and more water, and they had to get that water out of there quickly. So they imported what they call a Morford pump, and that allowed the mines to continue. Here in Australia we don't have ancient castles and forts and palaces and things, so this is the next best thing. Next I've come to the Bonnecord Museum. This mine was established in 1846. This is Abby, who's here at the museum, and she's got all the information.
In 1839, South Australia was in deep trouble. We were broke, and if we didn't find either viable farmland or something valued to mine, we were going to be handed over to the French. The French were the first to discover South Australia, but it was the British that made use of the land first. The paperwork was already in process and they were ready to take over by July 1840. But then Governor Gawler was out exploring. He found these wonderful grasslands, and that's when they brought the agriculture here. Mm-hmm. In 1845, a shepherd named Thomas Pickett was looking for somewhere for his sheep to graze, and while he was walking around, he discovered these pieces of stone. So copper is made up of azurite, malachite, and several other components all together to make the metal known as copper.
That's
Boys
interesting.
as young as 12 were expected to work down the mines with their dads.
Yeah.
Boys 11 and younger were expected to run the whim. So this would go around in a circle. They would have their horses on here.
Mm-hmm.
One bucket comes up, one comes down.
Okay.
That's what those big buckets are out there for. Those are called kibble buckets.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they would swivel the horses in the other direction.
So if you're in Burra and you come to the museum, come and see Abby. Oh my God, this woman knows everything. Well done, Abby. That was great.
Thank you.
Look at this, Burra's first motorised fire engine, a Model T Ford from 1922. But Burra isn't only mines. There are a lot of beautiful old buildings and miners' cottages dotted all through town. Now, all those miners, thousands of miners that came up here to mine the copper, of course you're going to have a few rowdy ones. They're going to get into trouble, and that's why we have a courthouse, a police lockup, and I believe later there's actually a jail. We're going to get up to that too. Here's the courthouse. Here's your police lockup. It doesn't look like much fun to be locked up in there. And next to the courthouse is the old police station, but it's now a private residence. Next I've come to the town's jail. This was built in 1856 and was apparently the first jail built outside Adelaide, because in those days Burra was the largest town outside Adelaide. Here you go, I never thought I'd be breaking into jail, but this is what happens when you're naughty. Wow. That's the store. Ooh, she's a bit creepy. Now, if you've ever seen the Australian film Breaker Morant, back in the 80s I think it was made, then they filmed here. Once this jail closed down as a jail, it was turned into a reform school for girls, for naughty girls. So basically the naughty girls were sent here because it was escape proof, and there's a list here of all the escapes. 4 girls spent the night in town, 5 girls escaped, 2 girls escaped and were arrested somewhere else. A couple more escaped, 2 more cut their hair, pretended to be boys and got out of here. They were cheeky. So what does a cell look like in a jail from the 1850s? Let's have a look. not very much in here. Got a room, got a window, bars on it. And I'm guessing if you were really bad when you were here, you were put into basically, what do they call them? The cooler or something. And I'm guessing if this was the exercise yard, then these two trees here would probably be the only bit of green that prisoners would see. How cool that you can get a key and let yourself into jail. This is a really cool idea. I really like this. You get to see the heritage of Burra, self-guided with a key. That's so cool. It's almost as if the entire town is National Heritage buildings. It's a beautiful place. So I've now come into the Burra Town Hall. It's a beautiful old town hall. This is the civic room. This is where the mayor used to sit. Lots of photos of award-winning merino sheep, because this is a very big sheep grazing country. Now they still have events here at the Burra Town Hall, and they also have movies sometimes. Here's the town hall with the stage. So when there's an event, down there is where the poor people were, and the snobs used to sit up here. And they used to have movies here, and the old projectors are still here. I'll show you. Oh, look at that. So these projectors were installed in 1951. Old film can sometimes be flammable, so there's an escape hatch down here in case you have to get out in a hurry. Film. It's almost a forgotten thing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my latest production. So this is the green room, I guess. This is where the actors get changed. You can actually dress up if you want. There's a lot of old skirts, so I don't think that's quite me. This is fabulous. It's not every day you get to come into an old theatre and it's still the way it was. So this building here was the first Christian Methodist chapel in Australia, built in 1850. And next door to that is a whole series, a whole row of miners' cottages. I believe you can stay in them now. They offer accommodation. What was it like living in one of the cottages? Let's find out. We got the magic key. First thing you notice, it was pretty dark and small. And it would have been pretty cold. There's one fireplace here in the lounge room. Oh, no, I'm wrong. There's another one here in the kitchen. So these cottages were built in around 1849, and life would have been very harsh and simple in those days. Of course, if you're going to have a town with thousands of miners, you're going to find a brewery. That's where we're heading to next. Okay, so it used to have a tower and everything when it opened in 1873. Then it was closed probably about 5 years later, and in 1911 the education department bought this area, dismantled the tower and built these cottages out of the bricks. So what we have left are the cellars. That's a shame. I could go a beer after all this running around. So quite a complex series of cellars to store their ales. What a great location for like a zombie apocalypse movie or something. In 1870, the railways came to Burra, and this railway line serviced the town for more than 100 years until finally it was disused in 1986. But if you're a train buff, don't worry, it's a B&B. You can stay here. A couple of kilometres just out of Burra is the old village of Hampton that was established in 1857. The entire village is now a complete ruin. This is cool. So the story of Hampton was, it was established in 1857, but when the Burra mine closed in 1877, the town began to decline. There weren't all that many people living here, and the last occupants left in the early 1960s, and it's remained deserted to this day. It's really cool. Oh, I love old things and abandoned things. And this is an entire town. Now, because Burra was a boom town in the 1850s, but there wasn't enough housing for everyone. So almost 2,000 people lived in what they call dugouts. This was referred to as Creek Street, because basically they're in the Burra Creek and they just dug a little house or a dwelling into the side of the creek. Apparently there wasn't much sanitation, there was a lot of typhoid and other fevers, and it would have been pretty harsh living. Wow. I can't think of a less safe way to live, apart from the lack of sanitation and everything. If the creek suddenly, you know, if there was a storm or something upriver, then suddenly the creek would flow like crazy and that would wash you out. And there was always the chance that your roof would just collapse. What a horrible way to live. Oh my goodness. Recognise that house? If you're into Australian music, you probably will. That was the iconic house from Midnight Oil's Diesel and Dust album. It's a bit of a tourist thing out here. It's about 4 kilometres up the road, just out of Burra. Well, I've had a great time exploring Burra. This is such a beautiful historic town. There's plenty to see, and definitely getting that key and just seeing it all in your own time and having a self-guided tour is great. There's plenty of information at each site to tell you what it is and the history. And I think for $30 full price, I think it was 25 concession, money well spent. I shall see you in the next one. Hey, a big shout out to the crew here at Mog's Cafe who kept the coffee flowing while I sat here and edited this video.